on FootMex Live.
Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I am Wiso from FootMexSource.com. 2 weeks of Liga MX Games. How you liking it? Well, we have a group of analysts to talk about all things related to Mexican football. Let's go ahead and meet them right now. Tom Marshall, all the way in Guadalajara. How are you, sir? You have a good weekend watching games? Did you go to any games?
No games this weekend. We saw couldn't make the Leones Negros' game, but
I don't think anyone could make that game. Did you see that?
It was only like half full, which was a big disappointment. But yeah, no, I'm doing well and looking forward to the show.
All right, good. From New Jersey, Soccer Mexicana's own Jason Markowitz. Did you go to any Leones Negros games also, Jason, so I don't discriminate?
I was there. I was there, yeah. That was me.
Flew in and out.
Private jet.
I flew in, and then came right back out the next day. But it was worth it. It was a good trip, so I was glad I was there for that.
Good to see you. And we welcome once again the great Naib Moran, who spent some time over in Europe covering with Fox Deportes, covering all things Mexico from Mexicans abroad there. They're just called Mexicans there. They're not Mexicans abroad. That's only to us. And also many of the El Tri's news and stories. Naib, welcome back. How are you?
Good. Wiso. Good to be back here with Tom and Jason, Mexican Soccer Show. It's been a while. The last time I was in May. A lot of events have occurred. But in general, I mean, good to be back here on this side of the world in Americas. I'm following Liga MX closely, following young players like Alanis and Miguel Herrera and Pizarro and Jürgen Damm and all those players that before while being in Spain, I wasn't able to follow every weekend and so forth. And young players like Cuauhtémoc Blanco, to follow. No, but good to be back. Good
to see you. Well, guys, we have an excellent show with an excellent cast this week. Talking a lot about, let's talk about Cuauhtémoc Blanco. It's out there. We'll be talking about the transfer action still, the drama. Pulido, Tigres, he's in Mexico. What's going on? Raúl Jiménez, Chicharito, Memo, and then I hear something about Fabián going to Germany. So many rumors. We'll see what happens. Obviously, the highlights from all the weekend of the Liga MX matches, including America, Chivas, UDG, Tigres, great matches. Also, America and Chivas, we have the friendlies coming up for them. Something about Atletico and also Bayern Munich are going to get against the Mexican teams. The Mexican national team, of course, new friendlies with rumored Bolivia and Chile. Also, Mexico going into Europe against Belarus and also Holland once again. In the Netherlands. And out there, Javier Aguirre going to Japan. A lot of different topics, a lot of different news. Let's get to it, guys. Let's start the show off right away with what was the moment for you in Liga MX or Mexican football. What was the moment for you this weekend? And we'll start it off. Jason, what was the moment for you?
I have to say, the thing that really stuck out to me was Atlas's performance on Friday. That really stuck with me, and they became my team where the first weekend I wasn't super excited about what they presented for us, but on Friday night they really put on a show, and they were just electric on the field, and a team that they're going to be on my DVR going forward. Absolutely, I'm going to need to watch them going forward. Absolutely. So I'm excited about Atlas. So that was my Liga MX moment of the weekend.
All right. Liga MX moment with Atlas. Would not have guessed it. But hey, it was for Jason. All right, Naib, your moment for the weekend.
Well, I got to say, when Cuauhtémoc Blanco came in, I think seeing him back on the pitch, I think it was around 5 years when he came to play for Santos a little while. But, just seeing him, it's quite remarkable that he does stuff on the pitch that not many Mexican footballers do. True number 10s, I think, he might be rusty and overweight in some way or another. But he always managed to find spaces and give an intelligent pass, and it's part of the entertainment and the show of Liga MX, I think. And it's good to have him back just for the season. It's going to be interesting to see him play against America. That's going to be special.
Yeah, he did well. Great job when he came in. Everyone's excited to see him. It's that guy that, we love to talk, but, man, we love to see him on the field just to see what he's going to do. Kind of like Johnny Rico on the show. It's like we're just waiting to see what he's going to say. John, if you're listening, It's going to Mexico City. It would be on today, but he had to fly to the DF. All right, and obviously, Tom, what was the moment for you this weekend?
I think Fernando Arce's free kick goal to win it for Chivas. He mentioned in the preview there that they're going now to play against Bayern Munich, against AC Milan, and it was just so vital that they went on. These first 2 games of the league that they picked up points. And, Arce in the 87th minute, 10 minutes after Angel Reyna's been sent off, looked as though they were they're holding on for a draw. And a big win for Chivas. I mean, it really has lifted some pressure. And now they go for these, high-profile games against Bayern and AC Milan. And the whole mood seems to have changed at the club. I mean, it's a bit kind of... the club just goes up and down, and at the minute, that goal was big, and now the club seems to be all of a sudden on an up.
Yeah, it feels like Chivas just all of a sudden changed. I mean, they're all happy, they're training, they're well. Twitter, all these little selfies here and there. It feels like it's a united team. Look good. That's good. I've always said, when Chivas does well, I think it's great for the national team. It's one of the most popular clubs out there. Not a fan myself, but obviously good when Chivas does well. So Chivas fans, I said it. You were going to get a win. It happened. Many people didn't think so. I'm happy for you guys. Well, for me, the moment of the weekend, I would have to go with the goals. Did anybody notice that we had 4, 5, almost 6 great goals that over the weekend? Pavon with, coming on the right. Esqueda, Arce, Juninho. I'll throw in there Boselli too, pump it over. There were good goals. It looked like, a week where if they did a top 10, around the world, I think Mexico, since we're the only ones playing, aside, would be there, aside from the MLS. But there were great goals. I was surprised. Even though maybe it was a 1-0, 2-0, I thought there were great goals out there. That's my moment of the weekend. I can't even pick what's a better goal. Maybe I would think of Arce once again, but...
Got Esqueda,
giant goal. I don't know, Pavon coming in and just taking the right. And
that was brilliant.
That was a great goal. Yeah. Juninho's free kick was amazing, So I had to go with the goal. It's great to see that, the level of play. People around the world are watching and they're seeing it. So I'm glad that we're getting the exposure of great goals in the league. All right, we'll be talking a little more about the Liga MX a little bit in the show. Let's go ahead and talk about, just a little bit about Cuauhtémoc Blanco. Nayib, you mentioned him on obviously coming in 5 to 6 years, 41 years old, coming in the 62nd minute, obviously helping out La Franja. We gained control of the match, which was very impressive. It wasn't enough, obviously, to beat, the opposite team. It wasn't enough, but at the same time, I think he did well. I'll go with a quote that he said, and he says, obviously, I hope things go well for me this season, and if I have the opportunity, I would extend my contract for 6 more months so that I can retire in June, obviously after the match. And then he said something else. That would be the end of the cycle, and then I would begin preparing to be a coach. I want to be well prepared and go about the right way as I did as a player. I am committed, and I hope that it all works out. Let's talk about the great demo. Let's talk about the great hunchback. Now, you mentioned that, not everybody can pass and has a vision. Not everybody can do that back, like hunch pass that he always does. Not everybody can do that Cuauhtémoc. So I want to hear your thoughts. I know we heard a little from Nayib. Tom, talk about Cuauhtémoc Blanco. You're in Mexico. I mean, what are they saying?
I mean, it's kind of split. On one half, it's a bit ridiculous, that a 41-year-old, and he said himself today in an interview, he's like, TV does me no favours. I look really fat. He just came out and said it. And it's true, though. You're looking at it like, they still look like a footballer. I mean, he really doesn't at this stage of his life and career. He doesn't look like a footballer. But on the same, on the other hand, I mean, what Nayib said, what you've just said, he came on in that game for Puebla, and he almost turned it. You know what I mean? It's like the impulse that the team got from him coming on, and the crowd as well. I think there was almost 40,000 there in Puebla and a lot of them would have come to go and see Cuau. I mean, he still pulls people in, and I tell you what, if he is going to be a coach, it's just going to be so much fun. I mean, his interviews are consistently hilarious. What I like about him more than anything is that a lot of players in Mexico are a bit scared of authorities, and he just comes up and I think he said today, I don't know the exact quote off the top of my head, but he said something about the FMF, And he said something about going and smashing the windows in if if something doesn't go his way, because he was criticizing a decision. What's it called? One of the youth coaches. I think Coco Gonzalez. That might be wrong though. And and Cuauhtémoc's backing him. I mean, this guy's been like kind of getting done for corruption, and there's allegations about him like taking money for youth team players. Cuauhtémoc, this guy discovered Cuauhtémoc Blanco, and Cuauhtémoc said he used to give me money for my buses to get to training. This guy's a top guy, and if they go against him, then I'll defend him till death. And then somebody asked him, what about if the FMF come after you? And he's like, well, I'll go there and then break the windows. It's like, oh man, it's just too funny. Imagine him and Rafa Marquez. I can see it one day, not in the not too distant future. Cuauhtémoc Blanco ahead of as the coach of one side and Rafa Marquez the other, and that's going to be a sensational duel.
Oh, I can just see where a new breed of coaches are starting to brew.
Jason, I don't believe it. Like I don't see him like he's saying he's going to walk away. He's going to extend 6 more months to walk away in June, maybe for like 6 months, and then he's going to work on the comeback. Like I don't think we're going to. I don't think he's going to go away into the sunset so quickly. So I expect to see more and more of him. He'll come back as a coach, probably player coach, around when he's 45. Like it's going to keep going. It's just going to drag on forever.
Aside, I mean, do you really see him doing something? I mean, he came in the second half and he did. It changed the vision. But Naive, do you really see him doing anything? I mean, productive in the league, or if this is just a big ploy to get more viewerships?
I mean, it's a little bit of a show because and when you see it, I mean, the age and everything that is around the name of Cuauhtémoc Blanco in Mexican football in recent history. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, in Puebla they already call him the idol of the city, and he's only played 2 years. It's because 1 year or so because he played in Lobos WAP in second division as well. Now he moved to first division with Puebla FC. But not that much of a difference in the game. I think it's more of motivating the players by example. I mean, if they've seen a 41-year-old running for the ball, of course, 18-year-old or 19-year-old Logroño, this kid in the forward is also going to run. That's basically what I see. Puebla doesn't have the capacities that a Monterrey has, Cruz Azul, even a Chivas. They have better squads. Puebla is going to be just this team that has Cuauhtémoc Blanco, is going to travel all around Mexico and will generate a lot of expectation because it has Cuauhtémoc Blanco in the team.
But I think that's the worry. I think we have to point out that this Puebla team went to Tijuana, traditionally one of the most difficult places to go in the Mexican League, and picked up a victory. Mm-hmm. They just ground a really working, grafting victory against Veracruz, one of the worst teams in the league, at home. A little bit of a regional derby as well. That was the perfect chance for Puebla to in the relegation race to put a bit of distance between them and Veracruz and the other teams, and they didn't. And so all the talk regarding that game was Puebla, but let's not forget that was Cuauhtémoc Blanco. Sorry, but let's not forget that Puebla missed a big opportunity, to put some distance in that relegation race, and you wouldn't know that if you read all the headlines in Mexico about El Cuau.
That's right.
Definitely. I mean, we'll see what it goes. I think it's good. Everybody's tuning into the games. Like, let's be honest. Yeah. Come on. I mean, you want to get
40,000 in Puebla. 40,000 people.
People are tuning in. Everybody's watching. It draws back. I mean, he's an idol to Mexican football. He has his attitude. It's people are saying we're not going to have a player like El Cuau ever again. Probably true. I've seen that position. It's kind of going away in form, and in the recent form of football and soccer all over the world, that amazing 10 playmaker, engineer, especially with the systems that are now. You may not see that much anymore, especially in L3. We don't have a player like that. So it's great to see, great to mention. We'll be following that, and we'll see where, obviously, Cuauhtémoc Blanco and how he does over. Let's keep talking about Mexican national team players, but on the other coin, Alan Pulido, guys, what is the story? What's going on with him? We see him, does he have a contract? Does he not? Can we go into further as to why he's separated now? He's in Mexico City. He's nowhere to be found in the club's training. Last Friday, Tigres confirmed that Pulido will be joining the club's reserve team, Tigres B, but then he didn't go. Just forget it. I'm not there. What is happening? Tom, in Mexico, what are the news? What can you tell us about Alan Pulido and what is going on and what you at least know?
Listen, Mexican football contracts, it doesn't work in the same way as other places. I mean, this game, it goes by different rules. The truth of the situation is that, nobody actually knows, and I think it's going to go to a legal battle. I mean, you've got on one hand Pulido, who said in April that he hasn't got a contract. You can imagine a national team player. You can check his scoring rate for Mexico. I mean, he's only played a few games, but he's scored more goals than he's featured in games already. So he's made an impact. He's played well for Tigres. He's improved over the last couple of years. Obviously, European teams are interested. He's got wind of that. Olympiacos, a good team, a Spanish manager, obviously no language issue there, comes in. Obviously, he's excited. He's like, I want to go there. He's like 23, 24. Let's have it. This is what I want to do. Then Tigres are like, no, he's got a contract. So, right, there's obviously an issue. One report today in the Mexican press suggested that Pulido's contract was an under-20s contract that every 2 years was automatically renewed.
Okay.
Which is illegal. FIFA don't accept that. So I read one report that quoted kind of sources close to Pulido saying that if necessary they'll take it to legal. They'll take it to FIFA, and FIFA will decide, and if it is a automatically renewed contract, then it's not legal and he will be able to move abroad. Now Tigres and the Liga MX has actually come out today and said he's got a contract with the Liga MX club, he can't play for any other club, bottom line.
The Pacto de Caballeros.
Yeah. No, I mean,
no?
That would happen anywhere else. If someone's got a contract.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, so everyone has a contract.
So, I think it's going to go on. I mean, the other story that Pulido is going to turn up in Greece. I mean,
all of a sudden he's
actually going to turn up this week in Greece and actually try and force through the transfer. He's got his lawyers with him and they're going to try and force it through. I can't see it being sorted out in any kind of amicable way. I think it's going to turn really, really ugly. But it could set a precedent for other players moving forward.
My question is to you guys, and if somebody can answer that, if Pulido was coming out before the obviously World Cup in this kind of in the background where you have to have a contract in order to play for the national team, why wasn't this coming up? It was 2 months ago. Was Pulido just kind of not saying anything, so therefore nothing would happen in the national team because supposedly you have to have a contract for whatever reason, especially with Liga MX players? Why wasn't this brought up? I think González Iñárritu came out and said, yep, he does. He has a contract. At that moment, I don't see why Alan Pulido and the representatives be like, no, we don't. It's a 2-year, like you say, Tom, or whatever is happening. Or was he just staying quiet in order to see if he was able to play in the World Cup, which he really didn't anyways. But something is definitely going on. How can we fault, Liga MX if it's all in writing? If it's not it's not like no one knew this was happening. And just like Tom said, maybe we don't know the whole story, but I would think at least Pulido's representatives would come out before when someone like González Iñárritu, the FMF, has said, no, there has been a contract. And it's been said before that Pulido's had a contract for a while now. It's just not acknowledged by the player.
Yeah.
I don't know.
On top of that, not being acknowledged by the player, I mean, there's clearly the sense that Pulido wants to leave, that Pulido wants to excel in his career. And then you also see the fact that, the team had a player like Pulido, any player that plays for the national team in a World Cup has to have a contract. A lot of issues go in hand, but at the same time, you think about it, supposedly his contract was going to be over before the World Cup started. So, I mean, after the World Cup, he would be a free player and would be able to negotiate with any club that came to Pulido. What really bothers me is the treatment that comes from the coach, like Tuca Ferretti, saying straightforward stuff that shouldn't be told about a player. The treatment, sending him to the second division team, stuff like that. Instead of giving him support, trying to find coming into terms between Olympiacos, Pulidos, people, and Tigres, there seems to be this whole controversy when the decision could be just simple: let the player go and see what he can do. And
you're. But aren't you worried about a team, though? I mean, this is your team. Tuca Ferretti, for whatever reason, sending him into the second. It's not like he never liked him, because last season Pulido was there scoring goals. I mean, it was there. So there had to be some kind of disconnect between Pulido, and that's where I'm kind of seeing that Pulido's not doing the right things he needed to do. If it's for whatever reason, if there was a contract or not, but not practicing with the team. I mean, now obviously he got relegated, so there's some problems with, if it's attitude problems that's coming out. Now Tuca is not the most reliable. He's had some anger issues with players or whatever in the past. But I just feel like also, Pulido isn't, it's like two different sides on what you can do. So I'm taking.
Yeah, but if you're Pulido and that story is true about him having an under-20s contract, that might mean that he's making, $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously, honestly, you speak to players, and down here I speak to players, I speak to agents and stuff. There's just so many examples of you'll get a top under-20s player who's 18 years old, and the club will try and make him sign 3-year contracts for 5,000 pesos a month, $400, $350. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they just, and then the player's then committed to 3 years, and if he breaks in the first team, he's making the same money as he would. They do abuse, and Mexico's just so closed. And I think what's required is a players' commission with real power. I mean, I think people like Cuauhtémoc Blanco, he's talked about, he's come out and said he's not happy with how things have run. Rafa Marquez has said he's not happy with, but they need to do something. They need to look after these younger players. That at the end of the day, Pulido going to Europe is going to make the Mexico national team better. Why? Because he's going to get more experience. He's going to have the potential to go from an Olympiacos to, Spain, Germany, or England. I think the other thing is players are so overvalued in Mexico. I mean, Oribe Peralta, what was it, $10 million for a 30-year-old? And I know for a fact that there's a European club bidding for Pulido that is right now is putting in real offers for Pulido. And I can tell you, and Pulido's apparently his release clause is $10 million US dollars. Okay, this club offering about 30% of that because he's not proven on the world level. He didn't play in the World Cup. He's played for Tigres. Instead of the Mexican clubs kind of going all right, we're going to set less money, and then we're going to put a clause about the next sale we get 30% or 50%. They want the money, and you can see why. Because for example, if the next transfer window Pulido stays at Tigres, and then Chivas come in, Chivas will pay $6 million for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, why wouldn't they? He's a great player. They need a forward. Teams in Mexico will pay big money, and they can, and a lot of times outbid the European clubs. So there's just a lot of problems with getting Mexico's players over to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
The cycle of Liga MX players transferring. All right. Well, talking about transfers, obviously Pulido is looking at Olympiacos. Something that I will mention that kind of will jump into the next segment of the transfer. Feels like a lot of the Mexican players are looking to go to a place where the people that are there are looking to go to somewhere else. Alan Pulido Olympiacos is looking to go in there as soon as Joel Campo leaves, which is not for sure. Memo, might be going to Getafe as soon as Navas leaves. It feels like they're jumping into a place, and it's nothing's going to happen until the team that they're rumored, until they get their person to kick them out. And I'm still dumbfounded.
Raúl Jiménez, Jackson Martinez.
So I feel also, just like we're just on hold until the other countries leave, and then Mexicans can go when I'm going. We have the talent. It could be because it's overvalued. Memo Ochoa staying for another year for France, because of his wants to be part of the passport. I think he's good enough to, for teams to take advantage of the fact, not take advantage, but I think he's good enough. Let's talk about more Chicharito. Now it's Inter Milan. Last week it was fully, they're going, and Naive, I'm glad you can say that. You said, you know what, there's no proof of Chicharito talking to Atletico. I think it was some marketing.
The America was just what was out of the blue, basically. It was this tweet that even stated that, I don't know how there's Twitter accounts that actually say that the coach told me, Simeone told me that it's a 2-year deal. Simeone doesn't tell anybody about signings, not even to his father, and he loves his father. That kind of stuff. So it's I don't know, Twitter accounts. Sometimes the Twitter world is sometimes with certain accounts it's a tough one. It's a tough one to know your sources.
And don't get me wrong, there's sources that are there, you tell and you trust it, and it's all like that. But to say it's going to happen, and that's not a problem by saying this is the source that I have. The problem is big profile, take that source. That's their source, and that's where it just blew up. I mean, it was everywhere. close sources to us when we're trying to track it down. But good to see that. Now it's Inter Milan, right? Where he's at. Supposedly, it's coming to a close. Very, very, we're waiting again. Who's gonna leave Inter for Chicharito to go in? And it's coming in. So he did at least get a chance to play over the weekend. Van Gaal said that he might, wait 7 days. He was able to take him. We all know why. Although, surprisingly, he did come up in the Rose Bowl. He didn't come up in the very first game, even though he was there. Thoughts on Chicharito overall, Jason, on his movements? Obviously, everyone says he should leave. And I'd like to hear a little bit about Tom after that on why maybe he should stay. I think you wrote an article, right, Tom? Maybe it's better to stay. But, Jason, what's going on with Chicharito? What are your thoughts?
I'd love to see him go. I'd love to see him just be somewhere else, get some regular playing time. I know there's going to be the opportunities to get playing time, and he's got a new manager to prove himself with in United, but I'd love to see him just go on and start his career somewhere else anew and see what he can do in a different role with different players. And not be that sub role filling in just that second team kind of thing. I don't think he's going to. I'm fairly certain he'll be there another year at United, and I don't think it's a disaster that he will be. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll hear about Inter Milan next year, I'm sure, as well.
What about staying in England for one more year? Then get his passport, his Euro passport, and then now, almost kind of the Ochoa talk. But not necessarily leaving, obviously, leaving Manchester United, but staying with another team in England. That would keep him, and he would get his passport. So, who knows? Maybe that's a possibility. I don't want him to go to Italy. I don't know. It's maybe just a personal choice, but going to Italy, everyone's happy in Inter Milan. I'm not happy if he goes to Italy. I don't care if it's the best. I just think I wouldn't like to see him in the Italy League. I don't like to see any Mexicans in the Italy League. I don't know. Naive. Italy, what do you think?
Well, I think what makes it complicated with Chicharito in this market of players, of transfers, is the fact that he hasn't had that many minutes. I think you see, for example, a player like Romelu Lukaku from Belgium, a striker, who was on loan on Everton and now has to come back to Chelsea, and Chelsea doesn't want him. He has a market because he played last season in the Premier League, and he did fantastically well. Chicharito doesn't have that, so when you're offering him to teams, maybe Manchester United wants to sell him off, but the teams like Inter Milan or hypothetically, or like in a dream world that Atletico wanted him, it was on loan because teams are not going to buy Chicharito at this moment, let's say for 15 million euros, if he didn't have that much minutes and was not a starter this past season. Just played several games, but it still has that interesting characteristic that out of the minutes that he has played, he always manages to get a good number of goals just with the little minutes that he has on the pitch. Emma, from a personal perspective, I would like him to play in Bundesliga, but I don't know if there's a club in Bundesliga that would ask for a loan or to buy Chicharito from Manchester United.
I don't agree, mate. I think he's proven himself. I think there's plenty of clubs that'll, be in for Chicharito if he came up for £15 million or euros or dollars. I think he's proven himself. He's played a Champions League final. And I think the fact that he hasn't played, I think people have forgotten how good he is. It's like, we still brought up that point about Inter and just said I'm not comfortable with it. And to be honest, I'm not either. You go on Wikipedia and look at, Inter's squad, and it's not very inspiring. Mm-hmm. It's like Champions League, no, It's like, and obviously the Serie A isn't doing so well compared to the Bundesliga, La Liga, and the Premier League. I think that he needs to go to a big club like Atletico Madrid, but a big club where he's going to get better opportunities and minutes than at United. But the only thing I would say is that he's at one of the biggest and best clubs in the world now. He's with one of the best managers in the world. And with the manager who's slightly strange. He can't always predict how Louis van Gaal is going to do. He might, after 2 weeks, just be like, Chicharito's my man. And I think there's an outside chance that happens. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it necessarily will. But I'm just saying he should, it depends on the other offers, but he should definitely think long and hard before leaving United. And I don't think this is going to be come to a conclusion anytime soon. I think that this is going to roll on. I mean, I think Van Gaal's going to want at least a few weeks to look at him, and unless Chicharito really kicks up a fuss and says, I really want to go to Inter, which I can't see him doing, because for the reasons we've mentioned. I mean, Doug, if Atletico Madrid come in, and that's serious, okay, then you're talking, because you're a Champions League team fighting for a league title, and at the end of the day, that's where you want to see Chicharito.
Exactly. And good thing you mentioned that, Tom. I mean, obviously the league and Luis Van Gaal. I mean, he did bench, Van Persie in the World Cup when he wasn't doing, well, and he subbed him in, and in the Mexico game we saw that. I mean, we did that, and not saying that Moyes, kept Bruni in for so long, Welbeck in a little too long, and we're all waiting for Cheech because the game's not changing. We could see Cheech get more minutes because of it if he decides for him to stay. Would it be that bad if Cheech comes back like the very first season that Chicharito was in, where he earned a spot, but he was definitely seen because we had a coach that believed in him, and ultimately he ended up starting at the end. Yes, there were some injury there, but it's a very different position in the way that Chicharito comes in. I started looking at, who's the number 9? I'll ask you guys, and we'll be almost done with this segment, but who's the best number 9 in the world right now? A true 9, the way that we remember a 9. All you got to do is just score. That's it.
I say Lewandowski from Bayern Munich.
Okay. You don't see a 9 anymore like we used to. You don't see that 9 that all you need to do is score. That's
like an Inzaghi.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how it is. It doesn't how it is.
Yeah.
Pavone, yeah, you get subbed in and you score. But we don't see that anymore in the game like we used to. Chicharito's that 9, and in a very granted that American statistical world where now everyone's looking at that's what we look at. It's like, well, look at the minutes, 800 minutes, and he scored 15 times. It gives him a percentage of this. We don't see that often anymore in the world, and that 9 isn't there. So these teams that are waiting to take Chicharito, well, you know what? He doesn't link up well like we see it. So we'll where will he go, and his skills have to evolve, which I think are there. But
I think they're there as well. I think if he's given time. I thought he was really unlucky during the World Cup to not start. I mean, considering his record, and I know he wasn't the most confident going in, but considering what he's meant to Mexican football over the last 4 years, I mean, if I was him, I'd just be absolutely gutted. To see Oribe Peralta, as good as Oribe Peralta is, he's a national, he's a good Liga MX player. He's a good player for the national team, but Chicharito's a player who's won league titles in the Premier League and started a Champions League final. I mean, I don't know.
And let me just say a little bit something about in Spain with Atletico, and I'm also put on the table also Valencia. Valencia still is getting this new owner, Peter Lim. It's still not officialized completely, but there's already a sense that he has the power, because Jorge Mendes, the agent that basically controls a lot of the big players, is good friends with Peter Lim. And then the coach is Portuguese. Valencia could become a bidder, could make a bid for Chicharito once the Peter Lim deal is solved. Atletico still has one spot for a forward. I don't know how everything's going to turn out. Right now, they're interested in Callejon from Napoli. That's their main guy. They already got Griezmann. But if the Callejon deal doesn't go down, maybe Chicharito again comes into the picture. Let's remember that they already have Mandzukic, which is a striker that is usually good inside the box, not that much outside the box. Kind of a Chicharito type of forward that's really good inside the box, not so good outside the box. So we will see from there. But I still will not disregard the possibility of Chicharito playing in La Liga for an Atletico de Madrid or even a Valencia.
I'd be happy with that.
What?
Yeah.
Has anybody linked up Chicharito to Porto? I mean,
No.
I'm just saying, so many Mexicans going there. They're needing somebody. So then,
They only take the bargains, right? They're not.
They only take. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. Memo Ochoa, we still don't know, obviously, what's happening. I hear Getafe news, which would be, mid-level, Spanish. But, I mean, is that a step down almost?
Go on,
Well,
Naeem.
I mean, it is Ajaccio. I mean, it is
Yeah,
leaving, but
I think from what I saw with Valencia, with Malaga, my bad, Malaga and
Malaga.
Getafe is basically Ochoa playing for Ajaccio again, but now in Spain, not in France.
yeah.
So I think if Ochoa is really, really obsessed about getting that passport and ends up playing for a mid-table French club, I think with Ochoa it's interesting because Ochoa is becoming kind of like a celebrity in France. I mean, he comes out on these shows, speaks good French, likes the country, likes how the league runs. I mean, his dream is to stay in France, I think. I mean, if Monaco knocks the door, or if Marseille, let's hope, knocks the door right away, Ochoa's going to say yes to that offer, no matter if maybe he has a better offer from Spain or whatever. So we'll see right now what it comes, but Getafe, Malaga for me are not options for Ochoa.
What would be a good team? I mean, obviously the big teams in France, Naib, that you think would be knocking the door. Do you think would be good for Ochoa?
Well, right now the one that makes kind of sense is the team, David Ospina's former team. Ospina's heading out to Arsenal, the Colombian goalkeeper, and that's an opening spot for Ochoa, maybe Nice. It's a mid-table team, but it's a team that perhaps is looking for a goalkeeper.
Well, all right. Well, hopefully, I mean, even him having a great season at another team in France would be great. He's playing and he's getting in and he's getting that super status in France. Hopefully, one more year, and then he can obviously venture out to see what's happening.
But it's not fun to see Ochoa not having a team at this point. I mean, I can't believe Ospina
Arsenal,
and Ochoa made this grandiose Brazil game that it was the talk of the world. And he still doesn't have a team. It just doesn't make sense at all. That at least one team or two teams from not France but from England or Germany would already at least make an offer. Right. But I don't know.
Well, all right. And obviously, there's a lot of talk in who's leaving the transfer season. When should we see it? I mean, when is the cutoff for the viewers where maybe Chicharito, Memo, the transfer Euro market is closed? How many more weeks do we have, guys?
Well, it's towards the end of August, isn't it? The 31st.
Yeah. Okay, so we still have a full month of speculations, and Chicharito's almost there.
But for example, with Chicharito, he's already at club. Yeah. So he's already training and he's getting in rhythm. Yeah. That's no problem. But the worry is Ochoa.
Yeah.
I mean, all the European clubs are now in pre-season. Like, you getting to know the defence, if he's going to move to a club, like, getting settled in. So Ochoa is slightly more kind of worrying and yeah, he needs to get it done quickly because he needs to be training. He needs to get involved with the new team.
Well, Leon needs a keeper right now. I wouldn't mind. I'm just kidding, bro. You're still my boy.
Got a few. That Carlos Slim guy's got a bit of money as well, hasn't he?
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. All right, guys. Well, enough talk about the Europeos. Let's talk about the Liga MX. Question for you guys. What was this surprise? 2 weeks now, right, of many teams, many great goals that I can see at. The visitors from last week, the stories, the red cards, the goalies making blunders. What's been this surprise for you in 2 weeks with the Liga MX? Start off, Jason?
I'd have to say, I don't know. I mean, there's so many. I mean, you can definitely cite Chiapas, but I'm gonna have to go back to Atlas again. Like I was blown away with the way they were playing. I mean, I'm all Atlas this week apparently. But like,
your team.
I'm really excited about this team going forward. The new players they have in the squad right now are really performing, and I think they're really building something. I wonder if, like with Azteca coming in now and like the way they are kind of slow, it kind of seems like maybe we're kind of developing a slow build here, and they're kind of going to build up into a more of a consistent team in the league, and I really hope that's the case. It'd be good for the league as well.
I honestly think that moving forward, Atlas are a team to watch. I mean, not just this season. I mean, Juan Carlos Medina and Aldo Leal still aren't starting games, so those two are perhaps the most crucial players. So a lot more to come. But even moving forward, I mean, around Guadalajara, the hiring people. You know what I mean? In the media department, they're hiring people to do videos and to do writers and stuff. And it's just like the club just expanded and become a lot more professional now. And honestly, I think Team Azteca
are they paying their wages?
They're even paying wages.
Oh,
I mean, it's like
good. This team is growing. Naive, you're surprised? Not necessarily a team, just surprised of.
I mean, I think
thought?
I would have to say we saw the start of your Leon kind of worries me. At 6 goals
Nice.
against scored on. I mean, it's two tough teams like America and Tigres that are stacked. You know, not your common Liga MX teams. These are teams that are well financially, but a little bit concerned about the defense. There's even talks about Rafa possibly going to Italy, still looming around, but maybe not happening. There's still that. Will he come back to how he was? I think they need Luis Montes. Once Luis Montes, I don't even know if he's going to play this season. A little bit of that, and I like this. It was the first time this weekend that I saw Pachuca, and Pachuca has this guy, El Chucky Lozano. Chucky Lozano. That's a great nickname, by the way. I think that's just so Mexican. El Chucky Lozano, and I think number 8, really young player. I think that's another surprise for me. The player and the team is Leon to start.
All right, Tom, bring it over to you with a surprise, either a player, a team, an anecdote.
I think Chiapas.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that don't pay wages. So I mean, they really don't. I mean, I think they're a couple of months behind on the payments of wages. Every season they seem to have a almost completely new team. But there's something I like about this team. I don't know. There's like a solidity about it. Beating Toluca, who were a good team, 2-1 after playing half of the game with 10 men. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And against Chivas in the first week, again, it's very, very impressive. They've got the Arizala, Vuoso, Nava, Hobbit Bermudez as well is there. I mean, they've just got this nice kind of balance about them, and it's just very surprising. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them kind of sneak into the playoffs. I mean, they seem to just to struck gold really with this hastily put together team.
Good, yeah. Chiapas. I mean, I feel like Chiapas is nobody's team, but everybody just kind of goes there when people don't want them. But somehow it's clicking, and we're looking at that, and it's going in there. They're beating good teams. I mean, Toluca.
Yeah.
For me,
hard place to play.
Yeah, for me, the surprise. You said it, Naive. Obviously, my own Leon. Obviously not taking care of the defense just looks horrible. Partly could be Yarbrough making these mistakes, but coming in, they're scoring good goals, but at the same time just not clicking in there. And obviously, for another surprise, obviously Chivas, and getting 4 points so far out of the 6. Looking at the table, up top, Monterrey and America with 6 points, which I feel like they're just doing enough to win. They're doing enough. We don't have a great leader yet, to someone that's taken off, and we have 7 teams tied for 4 points that are there. A couple of 3-point there's a couple of 1 points that are. Everyone's just kind of balanced, and 3 points is going to take somebody off to another. So that's the league for you. That's Mexico, like always. So let's talk about certain matchups. Talk about the Chivas, most popular team I'd say in Mexico right now. Just for a little bit on what happened. Angel Reyna making a horrible. If it wasn't Angel Reyna, do you think it would have happened? I mean, another yellow, the second yellow, or was it because Angel Reyna has had these mental mistakes in the past? Because the first yellow, I mean, it was because of it also. Very childish. He did come out and he did apologize. But let me hear your thoughts on Chivas getting that win. Fernando Arce once again being the hero. Good for him. Good for Fernando to see him. Taking advantage of obviously a trade and being the spotlight out there. So jump in. You're there in Guadalajara, Tom. Chivas.
Big changes. I mean, the team's completely different from last year. I thought Carlos Bustos, the manager, just have to give him massive praise for that performance and result. Chivas hadn't won in 10 years. He changes the formation to a kind of 5-2-3 kind of thing, and it worked. And Pumas just never got going, and I think that was largely due to Chivas stopping and playing and being intense and pressuring them. I thought it's a good boost of confidence for Chivas moving forward. I think the other thing to mention with Chivas, apart from that game, is that Albert Beneguez, who's born in Mexico City, to Catalan parents, who spent over 20 years in La Masia in Barcelona, who helped produce, who was a large part of producing players like Iniesta, Messi, Pique. He's the new director of the youth team at Chivas. So you can see Chivas suddenly just kind of makes a bit more sense. They brought in all these experienced older players. That's to keep them in the league. But at the same time, they've got rid of Güero Real from the youth system, and they brought in this guy with an absolute proven experience to kind of renovate it completely. So they're doing two things there. The big question with Chivas, like we already know, they had Johan Cruyff in there, who's not bad. He's not a bad coach, Johan Cruyff. He knows a thing or two about football.
Exactly.
So whether this Beneguez guy will stay for enough time to make an impact is always the big question when Jorge Vergara is involved.
Can we praise Vergara?
No, we don't have to do that.
Not yet.
Just take it easy on that.
Vergara, when something goes badly wrong, he usually does something big. That's the furthest I can go praising him. He usually tries to do something big.
Yeah.
The problem is he doesn't follow it up with patience after that.
Is that patient? Missing patience. I mean, especially with a team like Chivas that is totally focused on Mexican prospects. I mean, it just tells you this World Cup, the fact that there was not a Chivas player in this World Cup, it's a sign that the team has been not handling the youth systems adequately. There's talented players like Chaton, like Fierro, like Cristian Alvarez, Antonio Rodriguez, players that have been in the youth national teams that have been successful. It's just translating that into the Chivas team, and something should happen.
Well, you can give so much to the kids and the youngsters, but you need to have that experience on the team, and I think that's what we're finally seeing right now.
Yeah.
You have Fierro, you have Chaton, but you have these guys that are maybe over 30 and that are there that are giving them that leadership. Just because you have a young team, it's like I think teams want to do that, give everybody out there, throw them out, but you have to have that balance.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with Chivas is I think they have produced players. I slightly disagree with Naive once again.
Yeah.
No, but I mean I think they have produced players. I mean, you just mentioned Chaton. You can say Marco Fabian, Fierro, but the atmosphere around the club has been so bad. These players aren't producing, and they're under this pressure and under the spotlight, and they're just not relaxed. They don't play like they're relaxed, like they're enjoying themselves. And
they have a new manager every 4 months as well.
Yes, that doesn't help. I mean, imagine Fierro. You get one guy coming in telling you to play on the right wing and do this and track back, and then you get the next guy. No, you come inside and play like It's not great for developing young players, and I think more than anything, though, it's just that atmosphere that's been at the team over the last few years of just kind of fear. I think more than anything, I think fear is the word. The players are scared of expressing themselves, and they're not stepping up. We've seen with Fabian when he left. We've seen with Miguel Ponce when he left for Toluca. New players after leaving Chivas, and they weren't bad when they were at Chivas. They were just under this strain and pressure. I feel anyway.
Yeah.
I think the thing I would be most excited if I was a Chivas fan at this point, certainly the experienced players that came in like Salcido, who really stabilized that defense, and they were look so organized.
Did you see that run, Salcido, like 60-yard dash?
It's just perfect.
I was like,
but
what is that, Salcido?
Seriously. The thing that, if I was a Chivas fan, the thing I'd be most excited about is the mentality. I mean, they lose Reina, 10 minutes left. They've dominated 80 minutes of that game. So many iterations of this Chivas team would just fall apart and give up that goal to Pumas and lose that game and go on. But they stuck it out, right? They stuck it out. I mean, they got up there. They were in dangerous positions. They got another innocuous Arce free kick to somehow find its way into the net, but they just kept going.
Also, I think
so
Picolín added to that.
Moving forward, they're going to have to score some non-free kick goals, but they seem to have the mentality to keep going. I wouldn't worry about them as a real relegation concern at this point. It's not going to happen. They're not going to be close to it.
Now with Leones Negros, nuts. I think
Leones Negros and Veracruz have some issues, but yeah.
All right, switch it over, guys, to the America game. Definitely talk about Xolos. Not being able to win at home, but almost squeezing out a tie with a 95th minute goal. I mean, let's talk about America. Still not, I don't know. I know the fans may come back at me, but still not convinced that the team is going to do well. Does have the 6 points, but at the same time, let's talk about that. Naive, your thoughts on the America Xolos game and obviously where America is going?
Yeah, I think one of the things with America that has to get down on paper and just finish it off is just what is going to happen with Raul Jimenez.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Raul Jimenez and Peralta is a great forward tandem to have for any Liga MX team, but perhaps that's not going to be the case if Raul leaves the team. I really like Arroyo, what he offered on the offense. I think is a good versatile player to have with Peralta up top. And I'm also glad that the players that Mohamed has brought in, like Golds and Aguilar, Paraguayan, who used to play for Cholos, are giving good defense stability type in America. You know, Golds still getting into the league and everything, but it doesn't look like that. There's a lot of leadership there from Golds, and that's a good sign. You know, in the midfield, it's still kind of not sure who really is going to take over. Molina's going to be there, but I think in general the team has to just know what's going to happen with Raul Jimenez. And Turco Mohamed said it during the week. It's like I don't see Jimenez being 100% in the team. His concentration is somewhere else. His mind is somewhere else.
He looked
Once
great.
you take a play, he looked great. But you know, there's still that idea. Maybe I can end up going to Porto and join Diego Reyes. I mean, I think getting that down, I think it will hurt America not to have Raul. You know, because Luis Gabriel Rey is not, you know, your amazing forward like Raul Jimenez.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a difficult homework for Turco Mohamed in this apertura.
Yeah, Turco Mohamed's quotes, he doesn't know if he will have to get his luggage and leave it or remain here. His life will change, his family life, his sporting life. So it's known that he's not 100% with us, although I think he looked fine against scoring that goal, a great goal. So and where he's going. All right.
I thought that quick thing on America. I thought Cholos played very well. I thought they really were slightly unlucky not to come out with a point, but thought Mohamed, you got to give him a lot of credit as well, just like Bustos for Chivas. I mean, brought on Raul Jimenez and Arroyo at halftime, changed the system. America outshot Cholos 19-5. Over the game. He went for it, you know, and he got a bit of luck with the 6 minutes injury time. It shouldn't have been that long. You know, maybe one of the, I can't remember who, but should have been sent off. Guerrero, I think. And so he got his bit of luck, but at the end of the day, he went for it so much that you get that rub of the green sometimes when you're willing to take risks like that. And so fair play to Mohamed for his substitutions.
Good to see. We'll see how they will do next week. We'll switch it over to Tigres really quick. Tigres León. Why don't we talk a little bit about that? León not starting, getting the biocampinitis. I didn't say it right. Trying to get it anyway. Not winning, but I mean, two games that just bad blunders, mentally not there. And we talked a little bit about that. But Tigres looking. I mean, with the Pulido drama coming in, scoring 4 goals. I mean, amazing goals, Juninho. I mean, from what I saw. But what are your thoughts, Tigres and León? Not necessarily just León, but how well Tigres looked.
I mean, Tigres do this at times. I mean, they have the real home field advantage there, and they could like take control and overrun teams at times. And you know, I think. León is just kind of sorting themselves out still. They still haven't, they're kind of just coming to grips with Montes not being in the middle and just kind of finding themselves again. And, you know, frankly, all you need to, if they proved anything last year, all you have to be is in the top 8 at the end of the year. So
and then they do beat your Cruz Azul, and then
that's right. Well, they didn't beat them; they tied them. But,
that's right. Goal difference.
That's right.
Tigres. Tom.
Well, I think it's.
Or Naib, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that I just put out there. I mean, Tito Villa hadn't scored in quite a while, and just the fact that he scored from a center from Torres Nilo, you know, that was kind of the shot of the game. I mean, just Villa scoring.
Mm-hmm. We haven't seen that, Tito Villa, Manuel. All right.
Yeah. Arevalo for Tigres, absolutely brilliant. You know, I think perhaps the best player after 2 weeks in the whole league. Mm-hmm. It's been absolutely sensational. Tuco Ferretti has praised him highly. León, I think Matosas has got a problem now with motivation. He's got a motivated set of players who have won 2 titles on the run. and that, I don't know, and you got players like, Gallito Vasquez and Gullit who have been to the World Cup, and Marquez, and it's only a few weeks since the World Cup, and it must be very difficult to motivate them for these early games, especially when you know that all you have to do, like they did last season, is sneak into those playoffs, and then you've got every chance of winning the third title. So that's what I think Leon's problem is. I think it's motivation.
Now we're looking at those players that you mentioned, Tom. I mean, Gallito Vasquez was playing well. Looking at, I think Gullit gave a nice pass for a goal. Boselli is playing. Marquez, I mean, I haven't seen him like a bad blunder or anything like that. I feel like they're just been unlucky. Maybe as a fan, I'm not that worried. I really am not. I think they'll still do fine. We're looking at Yarbrough just making 2 bad mistakes. It could have been, a tie in the last game. America didn't look that great. It's not like they were overpowering Leon. And you can see that. And this game was just a very weird game going back and forth with mistakes left and right, I think, from Leon in the defense. And obviously Tigres doing the right thing. So I think for Leon fans, all three of us, I think it should be fine. We'll see how we fare next week. But I feel they'll pick up and they'll see that. And you have a great coach like Gustavo Matosas who has been there, and we know his talent. So we'll see what's going on. We'll move quickly to Cruz Azul and Santos, which probably looks like a great entertaining game. And we saw that. So Cruz Azul obviously in the house. Jason, go ahead and take it away on what you saw, Cruz Azul and obviously Santos.
They were a lot more. The Cruz Azul were at least a lot more lively than they were in week 1.
Yeah.
Looked more like a complete team, and they showed up. They were alive. They were playing. So I mean, it was a good game for them. It was a deserved draw. They kind of gave up a lot of chances at the end, but I think overall, like a decent result for both sides. They both looked pretty decent. Like there was good interplay. Like I don't know. As a Cruz Azul fan, I was, predictably pretty upset with the Santos goal, but at the same time, it was a deserved result, and I think both teams are looking pretty decent moving forward.
All right, we'll see where that's going, guys. Anywhere else in the league? Obviously, Leones Negros. Wow, that defensive mistake. Gave Querétaro 1-0. You have to watch out for that. Pachuca, Monterrey still being one of the leaders. Obviously, at the end, it's a great goal coming in. Puebla, we've mentioned a 0-0 versus Veracruz, who still have not scored. Chiapas beating Toluca 2-1. We already mentioned America and the Xolos, and obviously Atlas and Monarca. Great week, I thought, so far overall. I think it was entertaining. I'm excited to see what's happening, obviously, next week in the matches, and looking forward to it. Looking forward to next week, Monterrey Santos, a match, on Saturday. I think it'll be good to watch. That Xolos, will they be going with Tigres? And obviously, I know that we'll be postponing a Chivas game, but in 2 weeks, Chivas and Leones Negros going in. Other games that we're looking at for next week, Toluca Pumas, which I think would be very entertaining to see. Toluca can bounce back on where they're at. But other than that, something that we might not have seen, and especially from this match, that Atlas Jaguares game. I mean, should be a pretty good game after the way they've all been playing, and surprises of this team. America and Puebla, Cuauhtémoc Blanco. Hopefully, we'll see how that.
That's gonna be fun. That's gonna
be a fun game, and Querétaro Pachuca. So entertaining games coming up this weekend. But before that, we'll quickly just talk a little bit about Chivas and America having 2 friendlies that are happening. Especially Tom and I were talking about Guadalajara just kind of taking the Chivas and Leones Negros just taking a weekend off. They're going off and play, and how that affects the league. There's a friendly coming up. I'll just play in a couple of weeks. How do you feel about that, Tom?
I can't believe the league agreed to it, and Leones Negros. I mean, Chivas and Leones Negros on paper are in a relegation battle, and if Chivas had decided to play a friendly,
but it's
to
Bayern
get big
Munich.
Money, but it's Bayern Munich on Thursday.
Bravo versus Neuer. This is made for TV.
Bayern Munich on Thursday. Why can't they come back? I mean, on Sunday and play. You know what I mean?
Too much shopping. We said it before. Mexican players love to go shop. Anybody know where they're playing?
Newark.
Newark. Oh, so you're
Newark.
going. Jason will be going.
I'll
Special,
be there.
special report from Jason at Soccer
That's right.
Mexicana. We'll be looking for that. Aside from that, a 7-0 embarrassment. How would that take the Chivas, and their happiness of what's happening with, what's been going on? Could we see such? I mean, we saw it. I don't want to compare Chivas and LA Galaxy, of course, but one of the best teams in the world is playing Chivas. How will they do? But I've seen fair that Mexican teams kind of do well during these so-called friendlies. I remember Barcelona America 4-4, like when we were watching it, years back. I think it's gonna be an entertaining game. So we'll see that. We'll make sure you guys tune in. Another one, America and Atletico, right?
And Azteca.
And the Azteca. So we'll see how that fares off.
One of the things that's upsetting for me is that the FMF has proven and the league has proven that they won't cater to the Libertadores. They won't cater to Champions League, where we really want the teams to do well, but they're going to cater to friendly like this, which is like an upsetting note.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's like what on paper, why Leon could go and arrange a friendly, Toluca could go and do it. Like you could get all the teams just making a mockery of the league.
Leon and Barcelona. It's coming up.
Yeah.
Leon versus Barcelona. I mean, Rafa Marquez coming back.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious that these, Mexican teams are playing against these larger clubs. I mean, you're getting all, Inter, Atletico, you're getting all these, matches. I mean, it's funny how they come to the Americas to just kind of shop around and we'll go in there. So, we'll see how that goes.
Another thing about this season with the with all the competitions and the postponements and all the national team games, right? If Cruz Azul get to the final, Jason's got his fingers crossed up there.
They will.
The final could be December 25. Christmas Day. Because they're going to go and play the World Club Cup thing, aren't they? So it's going to be a long season.
What a horrible Christmas present, but yeah. Cruz Azul devastatingly crushed in a final on Christmas Day. Yeah.
Christmas Day.
Forever subcampeón. All right, guys. Well, really quickly talk a little bit about the News Mexican national team. I know we're running out of time. New friendlies that were announced for those of you that have, can't get enough of the Mexican national team for all of a sudden in the United States, but also for Mexican fans, which we've been hearing on some of the dates. We're looking at the September dates being in San Francisco, also in Denver. Not necessarily confirmed yet, which a lot of people are saying that they have. We're looking at Chile, obviously being the first contender, which I think would be a great game in San Francisco. It is a FIFA date, so you will expect the top players to be there. We'll see Piojo bringing in all the Europeos and traveling over. And then Denver, which has been rumored to be Bolivia. First came out in Uruguay or maybe Ecuador. Rumored to be Bolivia. I'll say it. I don't think that it will be. I don't see the FMF, going in there and talking about, Bolivia. There's nothing been on their page. I think they're still waiting to confirm on a larger club. I know we saw FIFA confirming it on their page, but I've seen FIFA confirm games. I think it was against Colombia somewhere where we weren't playing Colombia. So I think sometimes people jump the gun on that. So I hopefully it would be against Uruguay or a Mundialista team, a South American Mundialista team. We'll see how that goes. The FMF is looking, obviously, to expand not only in the U.S., Soccer United marketing, not only there, but also going to Mexico and playing in the Volcan and in Torreon. Those dates are there. I think some of the teams, they haven't talked about what teams are going to go and play there. And also El Tri in Europe, which has been saying in the Netherlands, playing against, again, kind of like La Revancha, which many people like to say, but I think it was already scheduled before the World Cup because I heard a little bit about Netherlands and after the World Cup. So it just happened to be a great game. We'll see how it goes there. And then obviously a game in Munich, which has been rumored again. I'm not Munich. I'm sorry. In
Minsk against Belarus.
Belarus. Guys, talk a little bit about just quickly. So many friendlies already. I mean, we just stopped and we're ready to go.
One quick thing: the two games in the United States, they'll be the last two under the current contract with Sun Marketing. Sun.
Of course.
So after that, there's going to be. I spoke to the president of Sun about 2 months ago or something, or 3 months ago, and she said that they're talking, but it's going to be very interesting to see if they renew that contract with friendly games a year in the United States for the Mexican national team,
Yeah.
or if somebody else comes in. I mean, they've seen how successful those games have been in the US. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of sponsors who are jumping on board. So it'll be interesting to see if there's, maybe somebody else comes in there and puts in a counter offer.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a sidebar thing.
I've been there with I like to call the sum suits, and I've talked to I mean, this is a money making machine. It's looked at it in how much the revenue that they have, and ultimately it goes to the MLS and the U.S. national team and all of that. So I really don't think, Captain Carter, the president, would be overthinking someone else coming out than Mexico. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see more of that stuff. I mean, I'm just going to Europe and playing teams. I mean, I don't know. There's two games over there. That's kind of a good sign. I mean, it happened one time when they went to Poland and played in Warsaw, and they played in Barcelona against Chile. That's a start, but hopefully it can sort of expand. Maybe you see Mexico going to South America. I don't know, playing against Chile in Santiago or Uruguay in Montevideo. That will be more fantastic, I think, for the. But
well, let's take it a step further.
Why do we always have to talk about money with Mexico?
Make that money.
Guys, all the games in the U.S. are paying for. I mean, I don't know. It's like everybody talks about, they're making all this money, but guys, I think the reason why we have look at the traveling, look at how much we do, look at where all the different competitions that we're in, all that needs the money, and I think that Mexico has to have those games in the U.S. with that contract. I know it's a process, but the fuerzas básicas that we have, the tours that they're making, going everywhere. I mean, all that money comes from. I would think that would come a lot for the U.S. games. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So we allowed. I think it would still be renewed. I think it'd be really dumb if they don't, unless the FMF has some kind of other source of income, which I think they can make. I mean, they won 5 games in the U.S., 5 games in Europe. It's still going to sell out. I've seen it in my own eyes. I really think Mexico games sell out anywhere in the world that are there because, obviously, there's maybe China or Thailand or somewhere in Asia wouldn't, but we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. But great story. Didn't know that, Tom. The contract will be after these 2 dates, and we'll see where that's been going on, guys. All right, guys. Well, Javier Aguirre, last to mention before we leave, Javier Aguirre, really quickly, great for him to leave, yes or no? Will he learn? What will happen? I think it's great. I think it's great that he goes over there. Maybe come back after Piojo, come back for 4 more years for 2022 in Qatar. What do you guys think really quick so we can end the show? Go for it, Jason or Tom.
Is the example to follow for Mexican managers. I honestly do. When he went to Spain, what was it? Naib Zaragoza?
Osasuna first.
Osasuna, yeah.
Osasuna,
so,
and then he went to Atletico, Zaragoza, and then Español.
Atletico, what did he do? He's been back in the Champions League.
Pretty much every club, I think, every club he's done very well, in Spain. I think he gets a bad reputation in Mexico for the 2002 and 2010, where there were 2 games, If you look at the record over a long career, then he's good. And the thing about Aguirre, listen to him talk about tactics and in detail about the game. And I've never heard another manager speak like that. You heard like Tomás Boy and all that, like poner huevos and all this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And it's like Aguirre gives detailed analysis of games and stuff, you know what I mean? And like how to deliver a halftime speech to give the players 3 minutes. There's some videos online and they're unbelievable of Aguirre speaking about different forms of pressing and different formations depending on the players. And I don't know, I think he's the type of manager that Mexico needs to produce more of.
I agree. I think if we're ever going to win a World Cup, we have to have top managers. No matter what, we have the best leagues in the world. We have the greatest players. It doesn't matter. We have to have top managers leaving, taking that, learning outside of Mexico. Everyone's looking, for that manager that grew from, Mexico and then it's going to take him to the World Cup and then winning the World Cup or whatever it is. Guardiola coming in or, a Mourinho coming in from, it's like everyone's looking for that manager. No, I think people need to expand. Mexico needs to go out. That's great. I feel a little bit as a fan that, maybe look at, Japan games and we'll see how it goes. And why not? Why not cheer for Javier?
Maybe El Tri going to Yokohama to play a friendly against Japan.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be something fun. And I think the thing with Aguirre, I think his biggest dream was to coach in the Premier League. But that offer never came to him. He saw that the offer wasn't coming from England, and so he decided for this big adventure, which is Japan. The Asian Confederation is usually what? Japan, Korea, Australia, and another team. That team could be Iran, that could be, I don't know, Saudi Arabia, but Japan will be in the World Cup. Japan was one of the, let us not forget, in the Olympics in 2012, that generation was playing Mexico in the semifinals. I mean, so Japan has a good, talented players that did not, were not old enough, I guess, or experienced enough in this World Cup. Maybe in the next World Cup in Russia, the one leading them for greatness could be Vasco Aguirre.
There it is. We already called it. Remember that. 8 years from now, we'll be in the quinto partido with Javier Aguirre.
Oh my Lord! Imagine it. Imagine it.
Or saving us. He doesn't do well with Japan. They fire him.
I can see that as well. I can see that as well.
Piojo, doesn't do well. Goes back to America. And here comes El Salvador, Javier Aguirre. Guys, all right. Well, this has been a great show. Lots of topics that we can talk about. Thank you all for being here. Jason, Soccer Mexicana. Definitely follow Jason. He's got a great articles came out today. Gives you a great recap every weekend on the Liga MX with his twist. Naib Moran, anything you need to know about Europeo, especially his hashtag #TriEuropeo, just click on that and you'll see any kind of information on the players. If it's a game that Porto Mexicanos are playing, Naib definitely has some insight that you won't get anywhere else. And obviously, Tom Marshall, Mixer Mexico World Cup himself, obviously has so many articles and definitely insights on that. Guys, it's been a great show. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely give us a follow on Twitter if you haven't already. Also sharing this on Facebook and any other medium. Guys, this has been the Mexican Soccer Show. It's great to see all of you guys, but more, we'll be seeing you guys every Tuesday. We record on Monday nights, and definitely share it out there, guys. Any last words for this weekend?
No, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to, we don't have a sort of a invisible round table, but it's always good to see the viewpoints from all of us, and analyze and interpret. Well, maybe I think about this, but Tom says this, so now maybe I can think this way and stuff. But we always come and make a conclusion and try to offer the best info about this sport that we love, that's football and Mexican football. I mean, who doesn't like that? Mexican soccer.
Exactly.
Crazy
All right,
well. Yeah, crazy.
We'll see the next cast. Hopefully, Cesar is not at weddings or making his famous beer podcast. We'll see where he's at, and also adding other members that are there. Guys, this has been Mexican Soccer Show. Thank you for listening to us. Have a great week.
See you guys.